Hey guys, John from FlyAtMikeAlpha.com, and today we're going to be taking you on a tour of the Punta Gorda Class Delta Control Tower. We'll show you the basics of how Control Tower operates with tower and ground control at a Class Delta airport, also what some of the radar screens look like, and how they identify us as we come into land.
Positions, what the tower or the airplanes know as tower control, we know as local control, and I'm working local right now. That's for this position here. So local control will be responsible for everything in the air, anything on the active runways. Ground control is where Casey's working, and we're pretty much a two-person facility. So at ground control, she's also flight data, clearance delivery, weather certified, so she's got to monitor the weather. Like right now, it's the sky clear. You can clearly see that there's a few clouds out there. So about 45 minutes after the hour or 15 minutes before, when she's ready to cut the ATC, she has to verify the weather. If it's wrong, she has to log in, override the computer, then record the ATC, then pass all the ATC information to Fort Myers, and still issue clearances and taxi airplanes. So sometimes when you get ready to taxi at a controlled airport, you're like 15 minutes or 10 minutes before the hour, and you call ground and you don't get an answer. They actually are busy. When we get busy, the first thing everyone always says when they come up this polish, they're like, gosh, I never realized how much you guys did off the radio. Yeah. Because there is a lot. I mean, even communicating between us, runway crossings, movement of the airfield. She's not allowed to cross my runway without asking me. I'm not allowed to put an airplane on her taxiway without asking her. So there's a lot of coordination and talking that goes back and forth, and that's not even, getting into working with approach control, dealing with IFR aircraft, releases inbound, coordinating. So there's actually quite a bit that happens that's not on the radio. So, sometimes when you call, it just takes us a second because unfortunately we only talk to one person at a time. So.
At what point does the weather get different enough, and it's not 45 minutes after the hour, for you to decide to update the ATC?
Well, if the wind changes a certain amount of degrees, I think it's a 90 degrees to 5 knots, something like that, right? That we have
more than 60 degrees in excess of 12 knots for a wind shift. There's a lot of things that would trigger a special observation.
If a broken layer comes in, like
right.
reportable value, we have to change. We have to do a special and change the alphabet and disseminate that.
Gotcha.
It's not.
So if the visibility or the cloud ceiling, either one of those change by more than a reportable value, where it would pertain to general aviation, then we would record, a new ATC to
okay. And then obviously there's probably some, if it's 30 degrees different or 40 degrees, you might just announce to the guy on final, maybe, or give him a heads up or something.
Right, and if it's a temporary thing, if the winds are forecast to be 070 all day and all of a sudden we get a 100 at 15, we might offer them 50 if they want it, but we're not going to really change runways because we know it's a temporary thing. Yeah, and especially here with storms in Florida, we get that a lot.
Yeah,
the storm will bring up 2 or 3 miles away, we'll get just a little outflow from it, and usually it's temporary. It's just literally some outflow from when it dropped the rain, and by the time we changed runways, it would be right back to where it was supposed to be anyway. But yeah, we follow close, and we always tell the pilots too, if you would rather have something other than what we asked you for, then by all means say, I prefer runway 9. I prefer runway 22. And if we can, we'll approve it. If traffic or something limits us, then we can't. But always ask.
Yep. So for clearances, because ground and clearances combined here, so if I wanted VFR flight following and I'm on the ramp here, I could call up before I get my taxi clearance or during while I'm asking for a taxi clearance, say, hey, also, I'm VFR to Venice, request VFR flight following, or VFR to maybe somewhere farther away. And so then you would get on the landline with approach?
Well, now that we have our STARS radar, he's got the main one there that he follows, but we have one as well here too with the same keyboard. This enters all flight following in, so we just enter it in for you. We no longer have to talk to Fort Myers.
Okay, it's going to spit out a squawk.
And it will spit out, it will display a squawk on the radar here itself. I'll show you just real quick. It's not really that hard. Say you were what's your call sign?
Cherokee 90907 Whiskey.
Yeah,
PA 28.
I'll do that too. I'll just put a test in. So it's test. Oops. 1, 2, 3 space, and then you're going from here to Sarasota.
Sure.
PGD and then SRQ, And then if you'll see it, it's everything that I'm typing in is right here, you know, and you're a PA28, you said?
Yep.
PA28, and then to the controller, usually they're combined. If they're combined, they're on West Scope. It's called a West Scope or whatever, and that's who we'd send it to as 1W anyway. So when it comes up, you've got your call sign, the type, which scope it's going to. It looks like now that they're combined on the east side, but now your squawk just disappeared.
0054.
So that's what I would issue you, 0054 code and the departure frequency that approach is working on. The first fix that came up here, I think this one is Charo. So you would come out of here, Charo and then Sarasota or whatever, however they're going to do it. And when you come up, see this call sign right here. As soon as you depart, that's what you'll look like, but it'll say your call sign and a little asterisk next to it. That tells us and the controller, receiving controller, that you are VFR.
Okay.
If they were IFR, there would be no asterisk. Or there would be an X in front of the call sign. If it was VFR as well, that wasn't, you know, receiving. There's two ways of it being displayed.
Cool. And does it also spit out a heading, or is that?
It does not. No.
Okay.
We can turn you. Since you are VFR, yeah, you can proceed. You know, northwestbound VFR, contact whatever. But within about a mile, we'll switch you over if there's no conflicting traffic.
So coming out of like Fort Myers or Sarasota out of a Charlie Airport, where they do give you a departure heading, is it coming from the same system, or is it just a known aircraft heading in this quadrant, tell them to fly this initially till we get a hold of them, till approach gets a hold of them?
It's whatever, like you could, what do you mean in reference to, is there like always an assigned, like almost a standard instrument departure kind of procedure?
It's similar. I mean, if I come out of Sarasota and I tell them I'm going to Venice, I'm going to get a heading of 180 or 240.
No, we don't have any standard headings here, but I mean, some places do issue it. We'll just tell you turn right out or turn left out.
Yeah, right turn on course
direct
approved.
Contact, whatever, and then from there, whoever's controlling you and giving you the advisories may give you the headings or whatever. But here we don't have any standard headings. But what you're seeing here and what we see when you guys hear this, like I said, this is the call sign, November 4655 X-ray. His destination is Fort Myers, and this is what is called a data block here that it rotates back and forth. He's going to Fort Myers. He's a Cessna 150.
Yep.
I saw that. He's at 4,300 feet, and he's going 90 knots.
Okay.
So we know, you know, the basic information of who you are, where you're going, you know, what your speed is, you know, for separation.
A quick little 150.
Yeah, right. Just, you know, just a basic information, you know, on that. And then if we're not sure of who you are, like you'll call up and say, I'm 12 miles northwest of the field, you're going to see a code like, maybe like this one. 1200 code, and we don't know who that is. And say there's 2 or 3 of you there, you know, and we're like, ident, you know, and then this is what will happen.
Okay.
When we ask you to ident.
And so ISR.
Not the ISR.
Nope.
No, that's a different code from them. They're going to ask him to ident momentarily.
The suspense is killing.
I know, right?
Maybe his ident button broke.
Well, anyway, the whole code would blink. Everything would blink.
The whole thing would.
The whole thing would blink, yes. The 1200, he's a 1200 code, he's at 3,300 feet. He's going 110 knots. That's this one here. And the whole thing would just blink. Flash at us or whatever. So it's
I appreciate it.
that's how you identify him. That's how we would identify him. We can't radar identify here. We cannot issue vectors. All we can do is say ident observed. You know.
He doesn't know what button to push. Oh boy.
That's different.
He tried twice. Turning his transponder off. So
Yeah. So.
Oh my. Okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
So then we just, you know, we'll not vector, but we'll give you a point to report in the pattern, you know, from at that point.
Gotcha. So like this, is that just a primary target with no transponder?
That
or?
is actually a data block that's way higher and way faster. We don't see those. We see anything, just depends upon what you put our filter at.
Okay.
Anything below 4,000 feet.
Okay.
Within, a certain, radius. Right now, that's a 10-mile ring that you're looking at there. And we can adjust that to anything we want, for the radar.
So when we're coming in with,
right here, 10.
if we're coming in with a broken transponder or an aircraft without a transponder, will you get data on us of any sort, or will it just be some sort of primary return
Depends
dot?
upon which one if we just get a primary, yes, it would only be a primary. Like, see what you see the trail here, we would only see the blue. We wouldn't see anything else. If your mode Charlie's missing, then we wouldn't see 3,200. We'd see your 1,200 code going 110 knots. Just depends upon which one's not working. Other than that, yes, just the primary, and it would disappear and come back and disappear and come back.
Okay.
For whatever reason that you're inhibiting.
Yeah, some of our older airplanes don't have transponders in them, so no electrical system to power them.
And like I said, this is a secondary. This is only for, to help us out. We're always out the window anyway looking for where you are and what, you should be reporting. This just helps us a lot of the times because they'll call, 10 miles northeast of the field, heading, to the southwest, blah, 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 and we don't, and it's all vacant. And then there's this guy over here northwest or southwest of the field. You're like, ident, and then you tell them to ident, and there he is, and you're like, you're southwest of the field. You're heading southwest of the field.
They read their
So
DG a little backwards sometimes,
These are airport symbols. So that's our airport there. It's the same symbol there, but our runways are overlaid that.
That's Shell Creek over there on the...
That is Shell Creek.
Okay.
And the hospital here in Port Charlotte. These two lines that are going up here, that's 41, and that's I-75.
Gotcha.
This is of course, I always call the harbor here. This is water. Unfortunately, we don't have, the pretty colors.
Yeah.
And then, of course, this is the river going up north.
Okay.
And then I think over here, you should probably know these islands, but I think big, Pine Island and I won't make myself. Anyway, 1,500 feet is the minimum, is the MO of the
MVA or?
MVA, sorry. Yes, 1,500 feet for this, area.
In that
here.
sector there, okay.
And then these flags are just for us. To know certain things, like this is Tucker's Great Exit. This is that water tower that you see over there.
Gotcha.
There's, I think this one out of here is the new park that's out here, the mud park.
Okay.
That kind of different stuff. This is the Walmart distribution center. This, I'm not sure why that one's marked, but, that's the mall.
Okay.
So when they say that they're over, Murdoch Circle or the mall, that's what they're telling us. So these kind of points help us out to know, standard VFR points around the field, but that's how it's marked on our radar. And if you tell me that you're there, I looked over there and there's an aircraft there at 3,500 feet, you told me that's how we do it.
Yeah, so when we call up, or say we have a student that's, unsure of where he's at, and he just calls up to the tower frequency, he could even call up to ground frequency maybe and say, look, I'm kind of turned around, I'm somewhere over water. And you could ask them to ident and start.
We can't, like I said, we can't use any primary. There's certain radar identification methods, primary radar identifications, and secondary. We can tell them to ident, and that's about pretty much it, except for the secondary and ident with turns. But that's about it. We can't ever say radar contact. But if you're lost or whatever, so ident is probably the best method for us, to look and say, all right, well, you're east of the field,
proceed west.
Recommend, heading to 180 or this heading back, because all of us are radar qualified.
Okay.
We have come from a radar background to this tower, so it's easy for us to say recommend a heading, but we can only recommend. We can't say turn.
Right.
Or,
Can't give you a fly
send
heading.
nothing.
Yep.
Yeah, nothing.
Gotcha.
Not even give you hard altitudes or anything like that. But,
Okay.
maintain out or below whatever and NVA in your area is, that kind of stuff.
Do you get a lot of those with all the flight training around, or?
No, I can tell you probably maybe 2 in the 4 years that we've been open that I have ever worked that have been lost and kind of scared, and you can hear it in their voice. But you just talk to them, you tell them where they are, and they listen to you, pretty well, and you just bring them in.
Yeah, not that big a deal.
No.
Yeah.
One little girl, I think it was Georgia's saved. Who was the young female that was lost?
Got lost, student pilot?
Yeah, asked her.
That was
George.
Roll was actually working. We worked back and forth.
Fuel.
We had it a few times in the past.
And if if he had not asked her, her fuel and where are you going? She's going back to Tamiami, right?
She's going on to Sarasota. She was
Sarasota.
flying cross country.
Yep.
But when she called us, she was over the river, and we kept working to get position on her. And finally, after we exhausted all of our means, the way she was reporting where the airport was, I said, I think she's in the wrong river. So we had her ident and called approach control and said, look, we see this ident anywhere, let us know. And sure enough, she was all the way down to Fort Myers.
Oh, wow.
So she was near the river. We took her up the river. She found I-75. Just said, fly northbound, follow I-75. We'll point out the airport. And when she got closer, what was it? Maybe we should check her fuel condition. She was pretty, who knows how long she was lost. And he asked her, she went, I just want to touch and go to Sarasota. He said, verify fuel. She said, fine. So she comes in and she's on the base, and we were both still shaking our head and talking about it. So Roland, he had to ask her, he said, verify your fuel condition. Do you still have fuel? She's like, maybe, I think I'll land full stop, so she lands, goes in and gets gas. And we get a phone call 2 days later from the flight school. And they said, thank you for bringing her in the fuel, because she wouldn't have made it more than 5 minutes out of your airport. She was literally on fumes.
Yeah.
And
there's really not much, the flight school obviously probably had some words for her, but there's not FA backlash. There's not getting in trouble.
No,
It's just,
absolutely not.
yeah, just
And
call up,
especially
ask
as a
for
student
help,
pilot.
and
Yeah,
yeah, as a
Especially
student
if you
pilot,
don't-
yeah.
What are we going to do? Take the license you don't have yet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a student pilot or even private pilot, just ask for help and you'll get it. And
And don't
that
be
being said,
scared.
you know,
Don't be
share
scared to
with
ask
the
questions.
students.
Don't be scared at all. Yeah.
Yeah, to share with the students too. Taking licenses and causing pilot problems, that's not what we do. All we do is try to keep all you guys from trading paint.
okay.
That's what our job is. We're actually servants. We try to serve you. Now, that being said, some controllers, if they're really busy and after the 33rd airplane they told to turn left, turns right directly into traffic, sometimes, they can get a little short and snippy. Humans are like that sometimes. But it's not meant to be that way. All we want to do is keep people from running into each other. I've been doing this since June of '91 in civilian sectors, since September of '97, working small airports. And so far in my entire career, I've written a pilot deviation one time. That was because the airplane wanted to transition my airspace in Naples when I was extremely busy. I told him I couldn't due to traffic, I offered him a higher altitude, he refused. After 3 times, told him to clear the class up, he came into that altitude anyway, right in my crosswind, almost hit 3 different airplanes, caused 2 airplanes to go around, 2 different pilots filed near-mid-air collision reports. It was bad. He almost killed people, all because he wanted to take a picture of a property that his friend had just bought. And he didn't care if he had permission or not. He was going to do it, right on the baseline.
Yeah.
So, that was a grievous decision that he had made that could have, killed people. So, at some point, when are we not doing our job by filing the paperwork?
Right.
If we let someone make stupid mistakes like that and endanger people, and then they go to a bigger airport and do it and get in a collision, is it their fault for flying stupid? Is it our fault for not reporting them in the first place? To get them educated. So it's hard, If a pilot makes a mistake, sometimes control say, hey, call the tower, call the approach control. And it's not because we want to steal their license and cause them grief with the FAA. Most of the time it's just so we can talk to, hey, what happened?
What were you thinking? What were we?
Yeah.
What we were thinking?
What can you do to do it better next time? What can we do to help you understand how to do it better next time?
What's the best way for a student pilot to identify themselves as a student pilot?
That's it. November 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they bound for the north, student pilot.
Yep. So on the first call up with ground control before you even get a taxi clearance.
Sure, they don't have to, but if they want to, by all means. Or if we start getting confused, or if a pilot like me talks or a controller like me talks too fast. When I get busy, it's rapid fire, baby. And I know it. And I try to slow myself down, but that's my weakness as a controller. And so it might be too fast for a student pilot. He's like, say again after November. Say, if you could have a student pilot, could you say it a little bit slowly? Or the most important thing for us is to know your actual position. So if we say position, and you come back confidently say, I'm 3 miles west of the field, and maybe you're east heading west, or maybe you're not 100% sure, but you just don't want to sound stupid. Wrong answer. Just let us know. Say, I think I'm about 3 miles east of the field, student pilot, not 100% sure, or something like that. Because now, instead of as a controller, me looking out one window in one spot, now I'm like, oh, okay, look at a little bit bigger area and take a look, because as I said, what we want to do is provide a good service, and keep everyone safe. It's not a matter of yelling at someone because they did it wrong. It's a matter of keeping them safe.
Yes.
And unfortunately, that's our responsibility. It's like sitting at any busy intersection. see all these crazy drivers doing crazy things, imagine being responsible for all those mistakes.
Yeah.
Because, you know, even though the pilot made the mistake turning left instead of right when directed or whatever, if he's under my control, it's still my responsibility. If I tell him to turn right, he turns left and runs into another guy, then the first thing they're going to ask me is, well, why didn't I tell the other guy he was coming?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so all those little mistakes that they could make turn into being, you know, our responsibility. And that's why, you know, the controllers can sometimes get firm when it gets busy, because if something doesn't happen the way we need it to,
Mm-hmm.
you know, then it can be dangerous. You know, a lot of times too, you know, if someone's told to extend down with number 3 to follow someone, I don't know how many times I've had friends or pilots that have said, oh, I could easily beat him, you know. And I'm like, well, maybe you could, but the guy that's been waiting for that runway for 12 minutes, that was his only chance to get out, you know. And there's always a reason. We play hot potato. Because if we have one pilot in the air for too long, there could be an emergency with another pilot, or 3 more guys can call in, now I've got 4 airplanes.
Mm-hmm.
Or 3 more guys can call before they get, now I got 8 airplanes, and it snowballs. We want everyone, if they want to land, we want them down the runway and off as quick as we can. Because you never know when that big rush is going to come, or when that big emergency is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get that extension, it's not because we just want to watch the Cherokee fly an extra mile or 2. There's a reason somewhere. Either we have to cross a runway with a vehicle that's been held short for 10 minutes because of other planes, whether it's a departure that's been stuck on the ground, or a faster airplane that it looks like you can beat them, but you know they're doing 280 knots on the way in. So you know there's always a reason. You know, we don't do it just because. You know.
Do you actually have to make visual contact with an aircraft before you clear them to land, or is there like a requirement for that? Or
there is a requirement that now that we have the radar, we don't have to say not in sight, clear to land if we have you on radar and you're at the place we expect you to be.
Mm-hmm.
Now we can't use that as vectoring or like radar identifying because we're just a VFR tower. But yes, in a VFR tower environment, all the towers, you know, when you get to this stage of flight in the class double terminal facility, we're looking out the windows. We're looking out the windows for spatial correlation, you know, to ensure distance between aircraft, either landing, taking off, sequencing arrivals, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the tower's going to look for you out the window and get you in sight.
The radar is a second eyes only.
Gotcha. So the primary thing is actually visually identifying.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that
And the
way
radar is
we
a great tool too, but once you're inside of 3 miles, sometimes you look at that radar and it looks like, oh, they're going to hit, and you look out and they're nowhere near each other.
Yeah.
Because once you get close to the airport, you know, it's amazing. Even you know on the screen, it's hard to spatially correlate that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, 3/4 of a mile looks like they're going to hit on the radar, but you look out the window, these guys, you know, they might not ever even see each other. You know.
Yeah.
So, you know, we use this when you're out, you know, 5 to 10 miles to help start to get the idea of sequence, who's number 1, who's number 2, and then once you get closer to the field, we're looking out the window to make better sense of it, to give a better sequence.
I mean, because there's a lot of controllers that have some flight training experience, some of them that have a private. I don't know if it ever happens, if ever, but if you have a student call up and they've got a problem with the aircraft, and I mean, to what level are you guys able or allowed to provide assistance for?
Almost all of us know basic aeronautics, but we're not going to really. Our responsibility is to keep him safe from other airplanes, and our responsibility at that point is to give him anything he wants. He's got an emergency, something's not working. He wants to land on I-75. Then I'm going to call the cops in Florida Highway Patrol, and I'm going to clear a patch for him. You know, we're going to whatever they want. We're here to provide them. As far as the amount of help we can provide, obviously, if a controller is a fully certified pilot and he knows those avionics, he might be able to offer some advice. A close friend of mine, Dan Fabio, was the controller that was working, and Brian Norton, who's up here now, were the two controllers that controlled the guys in the King Air when the pilot passed away. And the student pilot with 20 hours in a Cessna flew the King Air back in with all the family on board and landed safely. Now, Brian's a certified pilot, Dan's a certified pilot, he's a stunt pilot, flies pits. And Dan's close friend actually taught people to fly King Airs up north. So they were able to phone conversation, and that's what we would do. If I had a Cherokee coming in and he had control issues and all this stuff, and had enough altitude that some help would be helpful, I'd be calling some of my local flight instructors to be able to, if I could, if time permitted, But as controllers, we're not necessarily going to be able to all the time offer, flight advice.
Unless we're pilots. There's only one up here, well, 2. But
and truthfully, any advice they would be issuing at that point, avionics-wise, they'd be
taking, you know, liability risks themselves.
You certainly, yeah.
So there's some controllers that wouldn't do that.
Yeah, it's a tough spot to be in.
It
yeah.
is. It is.
Um,
But if it's an emergency, I mean, I don't know. I haven't met a controller yet that wouldn't
yeah.
pass on every bit they could to help the guy
Mhm.
out. You know, I've had multiple emergencies myself. I know Casey's worked plenty down here. We've had crashes. We've had, you know, and you know, you do what you can in those situations to help the folks out. So.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think that covers pretty much everything. I really appreciate you guys' time, and yeah, I mean, this is an awesome tower.
Thanks.
Really awesome service out of here.
And anytime they want to come up and see us, tell them to bring them up.
Yeah.
Or to come up, but there's always time.
Yep. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching, and thank you so much for sharing us on Facebook, Twitter, and all the other social media sites. If you have any questions about the video at all, just leave them in the comments below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Be sure to give us a thumbs up on our video, and you can subscribe to us to keep up with all our latest episodes right over here on the right. Also, check out some of these other helpful videos below, and remember, if you can't fly every day, then fly at MikeAlpha.com. We'll see y'all next time.